Welcome to the Great Start Podcast, a podcast that brings you up to speed with matters Formula One. So sit in your cockpits, rev your engines, and let's go.
Welcome to the Great Start Podcast. After an amazing session in Jeddah, I am back again, your local F1 guy, Yanni Brian Kibet. I am back again with you guys in the podcast to bring you up to speed with what went down in Jeddah. My, oh my, wasn't it a crazy race? And courtesy of that, we have quite an episode ahead of us for today. You know, when we try and get just a brief review of what went down in the crazy Jeddah Grand Prix. And what are some of our thoughts and ideas of what went down in Jeddah and what will be going down in Abu Dhabi. So if at all you listen to the episode halfway or anything of that sort, of which I know most of my listeners do. Thank you so much. Yes, this is an episode you got to finish, more especially if you intend on making a prediction about the championships that are going on with Lewis and Verstappen holding similar points and them going to the last race of the season. Then this is definitely a podcast you should listen to the end. But first things first, we want to analyze the Jeddah track. Oh my God, I call it the crazy track. First reason why I call it the crazy track is because of the time span it took to build the track. I mean, they started building the track in March of this year. And they were done 2 weeks to the Jeddah Grand Prix. So while we were in Mexico, that is when they were actually finishing the stage, the racetrack. So that is the first reason why I call it a crazy track. Second reason why I call it the crazy track is because it is the fastest street circuit on the F1 calendar as we speak. So the fastest street track, that's a little bit of a tongue tire there. The fastest street track circuits in the Formula One Grand Prix calendar as we speak. And my oh my, is it fast? Yeah, it's unreasonably fast. I was actually looking at the helmet cams for the drivers during the qualifying, and you can see the number of blind spots these drivers are driving into at 180 kilometers per hour. You can't see what's happening in front of you, but you are steadily driving at that pace, going for it, absolutely. Of which, for the drivers, they may not feel it at that moment because they are in the heat of the moment. But for us Formula One fans who are watching it at that time, your heart is clenching, your blood is pumping. Yeah, you understand the fact that if anything goes wrong, it could go seriously wrong. And we got to see that even in the Formula 2 sprint race, when we had Enzo Fittipaldi and Theo Pourchaire, crash out, and they had quite a big shunt, but we are really glad to hear that Enzo Fittipaldi is doing very well. His treatment, he broke his ankle, but he's doing well. But still, it just shows the amount of risk these drivers take whenever they're going to the car, the amount of risk that this new track has brought about. And, we had multiple red flags even in the Formula One series. So I personally think that if at all we are to go to that crazy track again, of which I do hope we get to go there the next season, there must be some changes that come about. Yeah, some things have to change about the track. They need to make some corners visible or find a way to make some corners visible. And it's not like Baku, where you have a lot of rights and lefts concurrently, where you're making a right in the left turn and a right in the left turn. No, this is like a continuous long left where you can't see anything. You cannot see anything that is happening, So really, I really do hope that they get to fix up the track before we get into the next season, which is next year, and fix up all those small issues that they have. I do understand that there's no race that's been held there also as well. So we really can't blame them for why they did not test the track and all. Really, these matters are usually tested on ground at that specific moment. So if there's no race that's been held, they have no history to base their repairs on and findings and things like those, yeah. So hopefully they'll get to change the track. Hopefully they'll get to fix it up and, just repair it and make it better, make it much more raceable than it is right now. We saw the number of shunts that happened. We had two red flags in a race. And I'm sure we had the capability of having 3. If we had more drivers, yeah, if we had more drivers still within it, we would have had probably 3 or 4 red flags. But all in all, what I'm just saying is we do hope that the FIA takes into consideration some of the findings that they do find after this Grand Prix and some of the recommendations from the drivers, because we can't also really say that it's the FIA only, but even the drivers' feedback really counts in such situations because they're the ones on track. They're the ones who get to understand and know what is happening or what is happening on the ground. Tunasemanga hapa Kenya, vitu kwa ground. Yeah, how are things on the ground? How are things doing at the grassroots level? Yeah, so pretty much they need to change the track. They need to upgrade the track. Hopefully they will fix it before the time the next race next year. And who knows? We might be lucky enough to find ourselves having a very interesting race next year, and I do hope that gets to happen. Yeah. So straight from the crazy track, we go on to analyze the crazy race that we had in Jeddah. Oh my, it was one of the fastest paced races I've seen. It's also one of the most heart-clenching races I've been. As I saw them even start, I was very shocked that there was no shunt in the first lap. The first lap went very, very well without anyone crashing into each other. We had some brakes locking up here and there, yes. But really, we did not see a crazy accident like everyone was expecting to see. Yeah, so it was really, really fast paced. We saw Hamilton get a very, very good start from the start. But then we had a couple of issues as we approached the first turn, where we saw Verstappen get off track and come on track again. And it was just a whole issue before the first accident that Mick Schumacher had that red flagged the race. Yeah, it's a track that requires a lot of grip. It demands a lot from the tires because it's a fast track with very, very many tight, fast bends. So really, it all comes down to the tires and how your tires grip down on the track. So it is a track that requires a lot of grip. We did see Schumacher crash due to a loss of grip. His left rear tire did not have grip, which caused him to crash into the barriers. And Leclerc had a similar accident in, I think it was the FP2, the first practice 2. So really, it's a track that requires a lot of grip on the tires and demands a lot from the tires. Apart from that, it's also a really, really fast track with crazy corners, But we did have a very eventful race, with virtual safety cars, actual safety cars, and 2 red flags. And to just break it down to someone who did not watch the race, basically we had quite a hectic race. Verstappen initially looked like he had the upper hand from the start of the race. Then Hamilton came about with the pace, and within the first corner, Hamilton took lead. Then what happened now next after that is after Schumacher's crash, now that's when everything started, crumbling. I feel like it started crumbling on Verstappen's side, really after the Schumacher crash, because we now noticed that most of the times, even as we approached that first turn is where most of the drama was happening, because it's a hairpin, 2 hairpin turns consequentially. So sequentially rather, yeah. So you start the first a very hard left hairpin turn and another right hairpin turn later, yeah. So for anyone who's going on the outside part of the track at that specific moment, you will be struggling. There is absolutely no way that you can get an advantage from going outside without going off track, yeah. We did notice it with a couple of people. We noticed it with Verstappen. Once when Verstappen went on the outside and got an advantage over Lewis and got to be P1. We also noticed with Esteban Ocon after the race start, after I think it was the second red flag, where he also went on the outside and gained an undue advantage. However much he was not penalized, but still, regardless of the situation, it is very hard to make such a turn. You know, so really there was a lot that was happening there. But I think the highlight of the race and what really came out of the race is some of the decisions that the drivers made on the spot while they were driving, and some of the decisions that came to be passed by the FIA and the steward concerning the Max Verstappen and the Lewis Hamilton race clip. Yeah. So already, you do know, if you do listen to this podcast, you really do know that I am a diehard Red Bull fan. And if you didn't know, you can also follow our Discord community. The link is on this podcast description, and you will see how much of a Red Bull fan I am in our Discord community. Also follow me on Instagram @_Kibet_Ketel to understand why I do follow Max's theories and Max's, I love Max's race style and all those. So for all matters Formula One, you can follow me on my Instagram @_Kibet_Ketel. You can also follow our Discord community at the Great Start Podcast server. The link will be on this podcast description, and join us in the community. So, as I was saying, I am a Red Bull fan. I am a diehard Red Bull fan. Yeah. And on actual race day, after the whole drama of Hamilton and Hamilton driving into Verstappen and everyone thinking that the championship is now over now that they have driven into each other, is that Verstappen's racing standards were down. Yeah. Now, on my Instagram, that's why I'm telling you to follow me, guys. On my Instagram, I actually said that, there's a point that I actually insisted that it's not Max's driving standards, rather, it is how both these drivers are handling the pressure of the race and the pressure of the championship and how the championship is coming about. So think about it. We are having, this was my first notion, this was my first idea. We are having a driver here who has never raced, not never raced rather, but who has never won a championship. Yeah. This his first year doing this well and holding up to a 7-year title holder, a 7-year championship holder, 7 times, 7 seasons. The GOAT, the greatest of all times. Yeah. Even me as a Verstappen fan, at times I just have to raise my hands and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you're good, you're really good. Yeah, at times that has to happen. But, how these drivers handle the championship will be different. Obviously, we'll have a much more mature approach from the drivers like Lewis Hamilton, since he has been in a situation where he could, do better and understands the track better. But then, not really understands the track better, but understands the pressure of the championship. Yeah, understands the pressure of the championship. Then we have Max here, who is fighting for his dear life to break this chain of the Mercedes win. Yeah, so obviously these drivers will handle this championship pressure differently. Yeah, you will have one who's trying to scamper for the win, and we'll have one who's kind of taking a more calm approach to this, and just basically thinking it through, thinking his thoughts through, thinking his ideas through, thinking whatever he happens through, what he's doing through. So things like those are things that need to come into hand, we need to think about as we think about such a scenario and such of how drivers drive. It is not that their driving standards are down, because you accuse Max of people. Okay, Lewis Hamilton fans accuse Max of having low driving standards, but I think it was Baku in 2017, Lewis brake checked Vettel when Vettel was in the Ferrari, and he did exactly what Verstappen did to him. Yeah, but then we did not criticize him as much at that time. Yeah, so I've also been thinking about it, and I've been thinking, could it be that the FIA, the stewards who made that decision to tell Max to let him overtake, there is a very high possibility that they were the ones at fault and not the drivers at fault. Why do I say that? How they communicated to the drivers was not bad. Lewis was supposed to overtake Verstappen. But in that scenario, Verstappen got told the message first before Lewis. Yeah. So Lewis did not know what was happening when Verstappen started slowing down. You see? So Lewis had no idea what is happening. He just knew, hey, by the way, I'm just supposed to continue chasing down this guy, and the arrest zone is coming, where I can get advantage of him. But then suddenly he sees Verstappen slow down and doesn't know what to do, because this critical information wasn't passed to him. Yeah. And we do understand that Michael Masi does a lot during the races, but I think he also needs to up his game, and he cannot handle all the situations at once. You cannot handle this and this and this and this and this at once. Really, you have to have a structured approach in how some communication is done. For example, in such a situation, Lewis should have been told first that before even Verstappen, Lewis should have been told that, hey, by the way, you need to overtake this guy. You're supposed to get that position back. But he didn't. Yeah. And that's why we ended up, and the arrest zone was coming. So no one wanted to be in front of the other. Verstappen wanted Lewis to overtake so that once Lewis is ahead of him, he can gain the advantage of the DRS. At the same time, Lewis doesn't want to overtake because he does not know. Thus, he's using the DRS as his decision maker. He wants Verstappen to be in the front so that he can gain advantage of his DRS. So you see, there's a lot of technicality that was involved in that situation there. But all in all, I believe that out of all the reasons that we probably have given on air and off air and to our friends and on Twitter and all, really Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton both had some faults to take, but the FIA had a greater fault, and I think that's something they should review even before we go on to the next races. Yeah. The other thing is the tire change rule. Once we have a red flag, what do people think? Currently, what happens is that you could change a tire at a red flag situation, and that is the advantage that Verstappen got once the red flag got called out and he had not pitted yet. You see, so a lot of the drivers are saying that it's very disadvantageous and it's a rule that should be changed at the end of the season, where drivers should not be allowed to change their tires at a red flag situation. But different people have different thoughts about this thing, about this idea. So, as I said, guys, join our Discord community. Tell us, what do you think? Do you think the FIA should scrap the rule that tires should be changed under a red flag situation, or should it stay? Should it be like, if there's a red flag, you should be able to do repairs on your car as long as you're repairing them with the same parts and not parts that give you an advantageous gain, and situations like those. So really, we had a crazy race, a very fun-picked race. If you were to ask me, the person who I think should have won the race in that situation was Max Verstappen. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Max Verstappen because I'm a fan, but I'm saying Max Verstappen because of the situation, of the kind of driving that we saw from him on Sunday. We saw he won the driver of the day. He was quite quick, regardless of whether, even with the idea that the Mercedes was much quicker and the Benzes were much quicker, but he was still able to, maneuver his way around the track and all. Okay, there might be some instances or scenarios where he went off track and probably gained an advantage, but that's because he was actually trying and, pushing it to the max. Because he did understand that he did not have the pace. So if you were to ask me who I thought should have won the race, I would have said Max. But all in all, we still had Lewis win, and which is not a bad thing as well. It gives us a proper now championship fight as they fight to the line on Sunday in Abu Dhabi. And who knows what this race holds for us. I mean, we have had a fantastic season, and the fact that we are taking it all to the last race means that all these other races have been reduced to null. Like they are now null and void. We're all depending on what happens in this final race, in the final race of the season, on the 30th title decider of the championship, the season finale of the 2021 championships. And really, I think as we go into Abu Dhabi, we also have to discuss the odds of the drivers winning. So if we look at the odds, in this situation where we are at, Max could win if he gets whichever driver gets at this point, I think I'll just make it as simple as possible. Whichever driver gets P1 will win the championships. Why is that so? This is because they're tied in points, and they're tied in points, and they have Max has 9 race wins and Lewis has 8 race wins. But by the time, if Lewis gets to win the Abu Dhabi, they'll both have 9 race wins and Lewis will have more points, you see. But then Max has better odds. One reason being, Max has nothing to lose if he doesn't finish, if both Lewis and Verstappen don't finish the race, because he will still win because he has more race wins. Yeah, he has 9 race wins. Lewis has 8, so he will still win if Hamilton does not. Both of them don't finish basically. Yeah. Then the fact that he has more race wins gives him an edge over Lewis. But then we also cannot put aside the race win momentum that Lewis has had for the past 4-5 races. Lewis has been winning all through the season. He has been winning. So we cannot put aside the fact that he has been winning for the past 4 races. So the fact that he has that winning momentum, it's a very key thing, by the way. It's not something to be just trashed around and ignored. The fact that he has that momentum for winning. Yeah. So all in all, as we go down to the end of the season, I want to wish all Formula One fans the best race, wherever you'll be watching it from, at home, in the club, wherever. May the best racer win. And may we have a good title fight to the end, to the last moment. And the sad thing is we also have some sad situations that are coming about from this race as well. It is Valtteri Bottas's last race in the Mercedes. It's George's last race in the Williams. It's Antonio's last race before joining Formula E. It's Kimi Räikkönen's last race. I think that is now the most painful one. It's Kimi Räikkönen's last race in Formula One. And yeah, Max and Lewis are going to battle it out with equal points. I mean, this has never happened. We've never had such a eventful season. I think from 2016, since 2016, we haven't had such eventful season. So really, a heartbreak is guaranteed this weekend for some fans. Whoever fans it will be, poleni sana. But all in all, may the best racer win. And yeah, tupatane sasa after the race for a post-race review. And yeah, we see what happens after that. But I have been your host, Brian Kibet, aka your local Formula One guy, and catch you in the next race. Okay, I was about to say in the next race, but the next race is Abu Dhabi. So catch you after the next race. Cheers, guys.